welcome to my video. My name is Allison Gage and I am a student here. This is my first year at Southeast and I am an early childhood major. With that, we're not going to be talking about early childhood development in this how-to video. We actually are going to be talking about photography, which is one of my biggest passions in life. I love photography and everything to do with it. I started doing photography when I was in 7th grade with a club at the Butterfly House, and I did everything there. I went in competitions, got places, first and second place in them and stuff like that. And then through high school, I didn't really pick up photography again. I kind of just like left it, did other things with high school. But when I got to college, I really got passionate about photography again. And I actually started my own business called Modern Day Images. And we are a social media platform. We're on all of them: Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Pinterest, everything. And we do photography of portraits and products. I usually focus more on portraits, but lately I've been trying to work with some products, which actually what we're going to be doing today in this video. So in this video, I'm going to teach you the steps and processes to do a whole setup for a product photography. Now, product photography is more commercial things, so things you see in magazines, any kind of ads. When you are scrolling through your social medias and you see a lipstick and it's all nice and glowy and pretty, that's what this is. So we're actually going to be doing it today with a set of paints in this bucket, and we have a palette and a paintbrush, and we're going to make this look like a commercial photography shoot. So with that, there's a couple different ways we can start for step one. Number one, the first step and always step is you have to find what your focus is. If you were actually doing this for a company, they would give you your product and you would figure out a way to make it look really, really interesting. That's another part, is you can't just put it on top of a palette. You have to find something to make it stand out. So this could be a color, a background color, other objects in it. You don't want it just being that. So that's step number one. Step number two is finding what you're going to be using for it. Number one, you need a background of some sort. You don't want to just lay it down on the floor and call it good. It doesn't look as good. There's two different things that I use. I have a light box, which is more of a professional thing to use, and it's a box and it's set up like this. There's two sides with lights and then a bottom. You can shoot from the up or down, and then they came with two lights. But because this is a how-to video and I feel like not a lot of people have light boxes, we actually bought a poster board, and we're going to put it up like this against a wall, and then we take the photo like this. It still has that same effect, except for we don't have the side thing, so we have to shoot from frontwards. If I wanted to shoot down, we could get two of these, or you can flip it like this too. But we're going to be flipping like this today and using this area to take the photo. You could use any color. I picked white because we're doing paint, and I thought the white would bring out the colors more than having a neon colored background or something like that. Next is you're going to need equipment. For my equipment, I have actual studio lights, which you are to the right, so if you can see I'm more bright than I would be if I didn't have the lights. We're going to be using these lights because they're already up, but if you don't have any studio lights, before I had my studio lights, I used lamps. I just take off the tops and stuff like that. Works the same amount. These are just a little bit brighter and I can play with them a little bit more. Next is our cameras. Actually, I have 3 cameras to show you because I have 3 with me at all times in my room. They all are different and they're all different brands. 2 of them are more normal, simple, not professional cameras, which I started with. This one is the Nikon one, and it's just a little one. I use this if I'm traveling more. And then we have my actual first camera here, which is a really good camera. It's Kony, and it works the same amount. Like, I took really good professional photos on this without using a really high-tech camera. Cameras don't really matter as long as you can work with them and make them look professional in the editing parts or in itself as well. It's really important to have really good angles and lights if you don't have a professional camera. But today I'm going to actually be using my Canon because it's my favorite camera. This one is the Canon EOS Rebel T5, which is my favorite. This is like my child, this camera right here. So those are our tools we're going to use. So now we're on to step 4. Step 4 is actually the longest process I think of doing the photography, is setting it up, making it look good. So we're going to actually be moving down to the floor so you guys can see. Okay, now that we're on the floor down here, I got my poster board up and ready for our backdrop, and I have the tray right here laying down. So I think what we're going to do is take the tubes and actually put paint inside of them, and then have some of the paint laying on the outside of it for the first photo shoot. One thing to always remember when you do this is it's really, really important to take different angles and different poses with the products, just so you have a lot of variety when you edit. So I'm actually going to do that, and we'll be right back. Pause. Okay, so if you come over this way, you can see how I did the tray here. So we put some paint in it. Now you're not going to see the sides of it, remember, you're just going to see it from your view mostly and closer up, kind of like that. So next step is we are going to move the lighting. Now remember, like I said before, that lighting is one of the most important factors of photography. If I turned off the lights right now and you walked over there, you would still see the paint because the lights are shining down on it. So with lighting, it's really, really important that you get it right. One thing I always remember with photography is photography actually means writing with light. So that's a really important thing to remember when you're taking photos. So we're actually going to be moving the lights we were using for the video closer to my photography thing. Usually I'd be using little lights, but since I already had these out, I decided to use them. So now we got that. Move this one a little bit that way, a little bit. So now we're actually going to see what it looks like through my camera here. I'm going to actually tighten this a little bit, maybe. There. Okay, so on the camera, there's different settings up here. I always shoot in manual mode, automatic. Oh. Now I'm going to see what it looks like here. Take some practice shots. And then that one's kind of blurry, so I know that my lighting's a little bit rough. So then I'm going to do a couple more practice shots before I actually start figuring out where I want to stand. Now you gotta play around what you like. That's one of the most important things. Okay, now I played around with it a little bit. I'm going to actually take the photos, and you'll see a time lapse of me doing that. Okay, now that we got some shots here, I'm actually going to switch it up a little bit, adding a little more things. I'm actually going to put the paintbrush like that. And then I'm actually going to grab some of these that we were using before, the lids, the actual paints, and I'm going to set them a little bit to the side. So we got a new angle with some new photos on it. So there's a diverse in your series of that shoot. Then if some don't turn out, then you always have another one to work with. So I'm going to take some photos, and then we'll get back in a sec. Okay, so now that we did a couple of just the paint, I added the paint actually back into them, and I spreaded paint on the sides. So now I'm going to add some more caps so it looks kind of natural, having them flop everywhere. The more natural it kind of looks, the more it will turn out as well. So we're going to add some caps. It's also really important to remember your centerpiece of the photo, and these are the sides. So now we're going to take some more again, and then we're going to do the last one. Aiden. Say hi, Aiden.
Hello.
He actually is an artist, so I had him come in here and actually add fun textures and photos. I think these photos will actually turn out. So after we get a little more messy, I'm going to take some of the photos, and then we're actually going to go on to step 5, which is our process of editing, and that one usually takes a little bit. So now that we've moved on, we're going to move on to the editing process here. So have you seen here, I am now going through and deleting photos I really don't like and keeping ones that I do. So this is this process. And now we're actually going to be editing on my phone. I usually don't edit on my phone just because I use my computer, but because this is a how-to video, I wanted to make it the easiest way possible for you guys to learn how to edit.
So I actually opened the app Snapseed and I find the image. This first one is one of the paint tubes. After I find that, I'm actually going to click on the image tuner, and they have a couple different options that you can do your image on. I use all of them to do it just because it's the easiest way of doing that. So here's me tuning the image. As you see, I really try and work with lightening up my pictures. I like all my pictures to have the same white balance in them, which I will move on to the next part of that. I also don't like to add too much yellows or blues into it. I like to keep it pretty neutral because that is the best way for me to edit my photos. So now that we got all of those, I'm going to finish up the editing process, and then at the end it's going to show you guys the last of the photos. So we're done with editing. Here is my final products. Thank you for watching the video and hope you enjoyed.